Good afternoon. We are going to talk about the Wall Street crash in 1929. My name is John Campos, and my partner is Santiago Brenes Torres. First, I am going to talk about the Wall Street crash of 1929, the real event. And this began with the end of the First World War in 1919. Due to United States wasn't very affected, this country began to get rich. On the other hand, Europe was in hard times, and this continent was in ruins because the First World War. Then, in from 1920 to 1921, there was a crisis due to the low demand as European countries were recovering from the First World War. And in 1922, the American economy began to grow up, increase the consumption and production. In 1922 from 1922 to 1929, this period of time was called the Roaring 20s. In this time, the United States was suffer one of the greatest abundance period of America. People live very well, and the economy grow up and grow. Then, in 1923, people and companies start to abuse of credit and began to excessive consumption. Because people want to live over their means and maintain a high lifestyle. Then in 1924, peoples and companies were already in debt, but at the same time the production was still grow. This caused the overproduction, and this overproduction caused the loss of many products in the warehouses. And with this, the share of the companies began to fall. And then in October 29th of 1929, the crisis start, and this caused the Wall Street crash. So now my partner Santiago is going to talk about the other lapse of time.
Okay, so now I'm going to talk about how we, as a time travelers, right, try to avoid the Great Depression of these 20s, right? So first, after the First World War ended, we give to the world, right, or to Europe, actually, a better system of communication, right, communication technology, and an improvement to them. And this way, they're going to avoid this downfall that they had, right? Because they were in debt with to USA, right? After this, it started overproducing, right, of these countries, and we grant access to the innovative economic strategies, right, of our time. And in this way, we try to the companies to start implementing them and stop this way, and in this way stops overproducing, right? Okay, after this, it was an economic growth, right, worldwide, because the economic strategies that we gave them, and also we try to them to implement this this way, a new way, an easy way to watch the stock engines, right? So the companies, the big companies, and people that were in stock, right, trying to buy stock, they could they could see the flow easily, and everything happened during the 20s, right? After this, like the original timeline, it happened a golden 20s or a big like a great moment for people, that they were in the like having a good time right after this, because the economic growth, they were buying things and they were like they were all happy. And in the original timeline, right, it lasts a few years, but in this one, like we improve the economy, it lasts longer, right? So after this, it happened something that we tried, well, we calculated, right? And it was inevitable in this timeline, but we did that. Well, we tried to mitigate the consequences of this, right? And it is the exacerbated consumerism that happened to people. They were all like happy after the war. It was a good times, like money, right? So they started buying things more than they could afford, right? And also companies were producing more that it was demanded, right? So to try to mitigate this, or the magnitude of the consequences, we gave them the like these tools before, right? The economic strategies, and in this way it could be less. Well, it was less like consequence, right? And at the end of these 20s, due to the knowledge that we gave them, right? We gave the word and that tools. The Great Depression was never known as great, and it was just a depression that we calculate, right? As I said before, that depression was inevitable, right, due to the World War, but it was not as big as like the magnitude was not this big, and it was just a bad time for people, right? Not an awful time or an awful moment. So this is what we did as a time travelers, and well, thank you very much. I think that's it.